stealth of Liverpool's advance up the league table must have made all the other championship contenders see ghosts of Christmas past. It's 3 years since they failed to lead into the holiday in first position, but their fixtures after tonight are 2 home games against Leicester and Luton Town, so that gap between them and Everton is theirs for the closing. But Queen's Park Rangers will have rather different views, and they're getting very good support from the home crowd, and they have had great support in their troubled times. 17 days ago, Alan Mullery left the club and Frank Sibley assumed control. For how long remains to be seen, but they've gone well since then, maintained their interest in the Milk Cup in beating Southampton. That's their lineup this evening. A change in style, which sees them using a sweeper, playing a spare defender, who tonight will be Gary Chivers, means that Steve Wicks has lost his place in the team. Simon Stainrod will be wanting to sign off with a goal before he starts a 2-week suspension. He starts it tomorrow. Indeed, he hasn't scored since last October. The Liverpool side are strengthened by the return of Mark Lawrenson, who's missed the last 2 games because of a hamstring injury, but they're without Kenny Dalglish, who has a back problem. So in his place at number 7 we will see Paul Walsh, playing only his 2nd game since he, like Ian Rush, had to recover from a cartilage operation. And among the personalities on the pitch this evening, Gary Bannister, the top scorer for Queen's Park Rangers, with 16 goals, and a player that Jimmy Hill knows well.
Well, indeed, if he'd taken medical advice, and his father had, when he was a teenager, he wouldn't be playing at all, because one leg is at least an inch shorter than the other, and it was estimated that that would cause him trouble. You see what he's running there. There's just a slight unevenness about that run. But he decided to take the medical risk and take up a professional career, and what a success he's made of it. It's strange that he didn't really stay at Coventry, but when he got his chances in the team there, although he's been proved a lethal finisher, he somehow used to miss them and didn't really pay for his keep in those early days, and in the end it was decided to let him go and give him a chance elsewhere, and he's taken that with both hands. Played in Detroit, Sheffield Wednesday, and now at Rangers. A skillful player, lovely dribbler, and a very fierce, lethal shot on goal with either foot. And talking of injury, there's a young man who's come back. 1 game really since cartilage, the footballer's nightmare. Bought for so much money, really, a lot expected of him, and then all of a sudden an injury struck, and he must have wondered just what had happened to him. That's the game of professional football. You're just on top of the world 1 minute, and then it bites back at you. But he's got his chance again to play again alongside Alan Rush. They haven't had much chance. Cartilages have destroyed both, Ian Rush rather. Cartilages have destroyed both of them really in this season. One's had it early and the other's had it late. But it'll be interesting to see how they really go. That was the powerful striking partnership that Liverpool expected to have right at the beginning.
The referee this evening is Brian Hill, who comes from Northants, and Queen's Park Rangers will kick off, attacking the goal to our left. No win, but seemingly the ball wanting to get things underway. John Gregory already involved in the move, and Stewart's interesting, keeping the ball on the deck right from the word go. Only 2 sides, one on this surface last season, and they were Luton and Liverpool. Luton have already won here this season, so what price Liverpool? Phil Neal with the header. Craig Johnson with a needed foot, and here's Jan Molby. Interesting to look at this new style of Queen's Park Rangers, who rely quite a lot on the offside trap during the days of Terry Venables, but they themselves are caught offside there by Liverpool. But since Sibley took over, and indeed saw Gary Chivers use that role on his instructions, playing in a reserve match, he's brought the system right the way through the club. And we now have an opportunity to see a style which is pretty foreign to the English game. Played by Southampton, but not by many. Mulvey. And Gregory, who I think will be looking for the runs of walk. Surely that was a push. Ian Dawes sits it out. Here's Peter Hucker. Chivers is to be with Chelsea. Fenwick. He played the sweeper's role in the last 2 games, Terry Fenwick. Spare defender if you prefer it, unlike the title sweeper, though as we're playing on a carpet it seems as though we could use it. Alan MacDonald, 6'2" of him, has come forward there wearing number 7. Bannister right in front of Grobbelaar. Stainrod also on the near post. Chivers up, in fact just 2 back for Rangers, marking 1, the 1 being Rush. Well, Grobbelaar started to come when he didn't need to. This is Waddock. Rather hurrying for the shot, which he had to do. He was obviously hoping that Grobbelaar would not have regained his ground. Waddock. Not the best piece of defending by Liverpool. Walk. Covered by MacDonald, who was marking Walsh. And you will have observed, I'm sure, you've seen football here before, indeed watched our live match last season. The ball did not get up anything like as much as it did last year. It was then possible to score a goal by heading the ball down. The goalkeeper would go down for it, as the Grimsby goalkeeper did here, I remember. And suddenly finding the ball coming off the surface, going harshly into the top corner. It doesn't happen anymore. Johnston. Rush. Curious tactics by Chivers. Waddock. Gregory. Stewart. Buzzing from wing to wing. Gregory. Rather telegraphed, it had rather a long way to go. Nicol to Kennedy. Walsh for a moment was offside, so Kennedy had to maintain possession, and it cost him.
Well, a brief opinion of the first quarter now is that the pitch is definitely playing better than last season, but neither team is. I think both are lacking a little bit of confidence, and there was just a spell there where we saw Queen's Park Rangers quickening up the play, playing a few first-time balls, because I think that's what you need to do on a surface like this to make the breakthrough. Two-touch football, not quite good enough. It doesn't catch anybody out. The defence is not drawn, but if you quicken up the pace, you might be well rewarded.
And Liverpool's reward there, only a free kick for that challenge on John Walk. Walsh and Rush together, and Gary Chivers now carrying a sponge in his right hand. Referee going to the far post for a look in. And Peter Hucker had to move across. It was very well struck by Alan Kennedy. In fact, it was by Jan Mulvey. There's the Queen's Park Rangers bench. Frank Sibley in the middle there, coughing and with his hands to his mouth. Bobby Campbell, nice to see him back in the game. Former Liverpool player as well as a former coach here. As MacDonald didn't get a flick. Away by Mulvey. Rush all on his own. Walk indoors. Referee allowing the advantage. And sudden to play switches at the other end, which puts demands on players and officials alike. Nicol. Oh, they were all watching, and it was Walsh who kept the ball down and gave a bounce, which was a slight embarrassment to Hucker. Johnston. Neil. There's a little bit of a gap there, but he couldn't really see enough of the goal. Gregory. The head was down rather than the foot up, I think. Johnston. Bit of a stumbling pass, but it worked from Rush. Walsh coming near post. Walk is far. Here he is. Oh, and he's unlucky. Really did well then, John Walk. He missed the opportunity, but he was expecting the ball in the air. Suddenly it dipped right to his ankles. And Johnston getting the cross in. Just see how well he improvised there. Stumbling shot from a move that started with a stumble by Rush. The pace from Johnston, but he didn't quite match it with the cross that Walk was hoping for. Ronnie Moran on the left there. You can always pick him up. Bannister. Challenge from Steve Nicol. McDonald's. Chase for Steinrod, beautifully played again by Hansen. Always seems to have time. Warwick checks on the position of Haka. Mistake by Fennick. The shot from Rush. Well struck. With the goalkeeper completely in the line of fire. Well, there Ian Rush. He scored just 6 times in a season which started late for him. He missed the first 14 games in Championship. Other domestic competitions. Ten minutes away from half-time. And still Rangers haven't had a shot worthy of the name. It's nicely done. This is Neil. No way was that a foul. Lawrenson came away solidly with the ball. And here's Rush. He can cut inside. This could be interesting. Walsh, they've got a man over. John Walk. .36 minutes and a goal deserved on the balance of play. John Walk's 12th of the season. Started by Lawrenson. The cross from Rush, which should have been cut out. Liverpool had 2 players, and Walk struck into the corner. Really great credit for that goal is down to Mark Lawrenson, who won the ball with a beautiful tackle. It's an art of the game which is often not given its sufficient value. And he made the break. And the through ball through to Rush. As I said, if he cut inside, there was always a chance, but Liverpool were helped to their end by mistakes in the Rangers defence. But what goal doesn't owe something to a defensive error? Not many, that's for sure. Here's Kennedy. Rush. Offside Walk. This shows how he can finish. Well, that's where it should have been cut out. Walsh it was who slipped, but Walk certainly didn't. Chivers. Waddock. Not seen that much of Gary Waddock. He was an attacking player. Tripped by Johnston. Stewart. They are hounding the ball carrier, Liverpool, and doing it extremely well. Good play by Craig Johnston. Space here for John Walk. Steve Nicol on the overlap. Here's Paul Walsh, shooting chance on. Well, there were 2 cameramen on the right as we look who would have got a good shot of that. Well, there's certainly more reason to be happy on the Liverpool bench. Ball and the free kick given against Rangers. Against Gary Bannister. Rush prepared to hone in on the left side, in fact moves quite early. Gregory. Walsh. Applied by Fenwick. Obi. That's well struck. But not with the force that seemed apparent when he actually made contact. Lawrenson. Looking for Nicol. Walk. Yeah, that was a nice strike. Trouble the gentleman in the coat, but not the man in the green jersey. And so the champions have a 1-0 lead, which was good enough for them last season and brought them victory then. The goal scored by John Walk. The move started by Mark Lawrenson and involving Ian Rush and, for a brief moment at least, Paul Walsh. Well, this is Liverpool's 6th London match since their last win. It was November '83, their 6th of the season, I should say. They lost the previous 5 in the Charity Shield to Everton, then at Arsenal, twice at Tottenham, and their last match at Chelsea. But if you just joined us, they're leading here at Loftus Road by 1-0-0. The goal scored by John Walk in the 36th minute after a good move and a slip by Ian Dawes. Here's Craig Johnston. Showed plenty of pace on the right side. Wasn't frightened to go full out on the surface. First free kick of the half. And Dawes invited to withdraw the required 10 yards. Nicol in, McDonald away. Alan Hansen and his usual smooth first half. Tony Gabber tells me that John Gregory has gone back to his old boots. He tried a new pair in the first half and wasn't too keen. He's got a flat sole there by the looks of it. Just looking around, there are quite a few Rangers players who are wearing that sort of boot. Walsh. Rush. Well, it was Fenwick alongside him. Rush may be forced to shoot slightly earlier than he wanted to. Chivers clears. Lawrenson. Neal. Kennedy. Bannister. For a moment behind the defence. Rather allowed Kennedy to get goal side of him, it seemed to me. Waddock. Steve Nicol. Proved himself a good versatile player, Nicol. Rush. Crowded out. Thought that he was obstructed, but the referee did not agree. Stainrod. This could be promising. Oh, pity Bannister didn't let it run. Easy to see from up here, but Dawes would have been in. Neal. Stake by Walk. Bannister. That one assumes that Bruce Grobbelaar will be happy to feed those all night. Grobbelaar must have been listening to Bobby Charlton during the half-time interval. Stewart. John Walk. Rush. Walsh. Grobbelaar comfortably out. Nice control, and he didn't quite make the front row of the upper tier. Always enjoys those moments, Bruce Grobbelaar. Not sure the Liverpool management always do. Foul by Dawes. Took Walsh for the ride. And here's Walk. Nicol. Testing one. Fennick had a bit more time than I thought for a moment. Good ball by John Gregory. Demanding it a bit more in this half, Gregory. And here's Neil. Everything to his left. And Stewart! Well, it would have been a blinder. Instead, it warmed the hands of those behind the goal. But he acknowledged the cross, which came from Neil, but not quite at that speed. McDonald. Neil. Seems to be a somewhat more competitive buzz about this second half. And we're seeing a lot of Neil going forward. Stainrod takes over, or tried to. They weren't tuned into the same station then, those two. Long throw available. Grobbelaar comes all the way and goes back. Stainrod didn't get what he wanted. Neil, oh dear. Stripes, outstriped by Stripes. But it's all very busy. Kennedy judged the spin quite beautifully and leads the counter. Rush to his left, Walk making the early run. It's Rush. On by Stainrod to Bannister. Gregory, brilliant clearance off the line by Lawrenson. Great stuff by Lawrenson. A smile as ever on the face of Grobbelaar, who certainly had to come for that. But a real chance for Rangers goes begging. But it's warmed the crowd. I think they're enjoying this second half rather more than they did the first. Gets the impression we did that the first half was little more than the hors d'oeuvre before the main meal. But we're into the turkey now, all right? Stainrod. Hansen. The first mistake that Hansen's made all night. Really screwed up his toe. And there's rather more belief in the shouts of Rangers supporters now. McDonald once more on the near post. Adjustment of the locks by Johnston. Bill Neal who came across. Good catch. It's mine and you're not having it. Walsh. Johnston. And Rush. Greg Johnston played him in then. And the Rangers defenders looking at each other. Stewart. Mulby once again calming things. Dane has been impressive tonight. Waddock. Oh, needed tackle by Chivers. Oh dear. He's onside. And it's 2-0. Brilliant ball by the man who goes to join him, Steve Nicol. Celebration behind the goal. And Rangers defenders all looking at each other. But it's 2-0 to Liverpool, and Ian Rush's 7th goal of the season. And Roddy Moran on to attend to Rush's problem. And may well be pull on the inside of the thigh. Rush still doesn't look very comfortable, and I gather his problem is a groin strain. Oof, picture of that foot didn't follow through. Walsh. Oh, not a good challenge by McDonald. And John Walk is onside, but his touch let him down. He toe-poked it with his right foot, and the opportunity went away. And here, first of all, is the Rangers substitution. I said it was a bit of a gamble because they're taking off their right back, Warren Neal. Although he's been seen quite a lot as an attacker, bringing on an out-and-out striker in John Byrne, who came to them from York City. And Bobby Campbell, who's just rejoined the coaching staff here, was being complimentary about this lad before the game. And on comes Gillespie. And he's replacing the injured Ian Rush, who goes off having added 1 to his goal tally for the season to date. Walsh and Chivers having a little push and shove fight. That's a nice turn. And a beauty! Oh, it came off the crossbar. What a lovely piece of play by Paul Walsh. Neat turn, superbly balanced, and knew what he was doing. Tripped the goalkeeper, beat him, but couldn't beat the crossbar. Hucker really had no chance there at all. Lovely play. Look at this for a turn. He went one way and then the other. Lovely chip. Goalkeeper had not a hope, and it came back off the joining of post and crossbar. Steinrod. Walked suddenly in the way just as Stewart was making a run forward. Johnston. And Stewart has to come back. Walsh. A few touches tonight, Paul Walsh, and there, producing a good save from Peter Hucker. Bit of curl on that. Hit a little bit with the inside of the boot. Around the big toe, as it were. Walsh in the 6-yard area, Gillespie on the 6-yard line. Mulvey and Walk to come forward from the far side. Ball not in the D. Oh, he's in trouble, but he was fouled. Walsh got underneath him. It was a nice effort by Walsh, and a good save because the goalkeeper was quite close to his left post. Check of the watch by Ronnie Moran. Shouting, "We have won." I don't think anybody would dispute the fact. And the referee confirms it with the final whistle. Shaking of the hands all round as they get off the benches. Disappointment for Frank Sibley. But they're delighted about the comeback of their team, comeback in terms of the start they made this season. They've won here by 2 goals to nothing. The goal scored by Walk in the 36th minute and by Ian Rush in the 60th. He later had to go off with an injury.
Lawrenson brought it out of defence and might have hoisted it into the crowd, but instead kept control and looked up
control, and really then Rushy finished it off by a perfect pass to Walk. I was glad John Walk slipped, by the way. He was going to collect it, and he slipped, and then it ran on to Walkie, and Walkie slipped. Walshy slipped, and Walkie put it in. So I was quite pleased.
What's the news at this moment on Rush, who came off with a groin sprain?
Now, Ian, first of all, Ian has had his best game to date tonight. Looked sharp, looked for goals, and he got one. And then, of course, he caught his boot on one of the opponent's studs, something, and his groin went. So I think he's doubtful for at least Wednesday, at least.
We've had all sorts of things said about Liverpool's season, but how do you see the season panning out for you now, Joe?
I don't. We never do. This is one of the things we never do at Liverpool. Somebody said to me going up the stairs, you haven't given up the championship. I said, I never even think about it. Again, they're all picking it up, I know, but it's one game at a time. We've always done it. And I couldn't tell you what's going to be, what's going to happen at the end of the season.
You can whistle, but you weren't whistling from the dugout tonight. Well, you were absent from the dugout. Why is that?
Now, everybody thinks, why do you go upstairs now? And sit I'll tell you why, the secret of it. Can't get a shout in. Ronnie Moran and Roy Evans, you never get a shout. So I thought, Lord, I'm going upstairs and enjoying myself up there. Well, watching the match anyway. You don't enjoy it till the final whistle, of course. And no, that's the reason why I don't go in the dugout. No, they let them. No, it's their job now, and they do it well. They do it well, both of them.
Do you see a different game from upstairs?
Not really. No, not really. I suppose you see a bit more overall, but in the main, no. You see the mistakes, you see the good play. And, of course, like anybody else in this game, your heart's in your mouth all the time. That's what it's always there, always there.
Thanks very much indeed.
Can I make a last word, please?
Certainly.
I'd just like to wish all supporters everywhere, and players, officials, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.